Okay then, we've had the first tournament of the Overwatch League season, the May Melee, and it has been very, very exciting. I don't think anyone would have expected it to go the way it's kind of gone. There are a lot of really close matches. Some descend into a bit of scrappy Overwatch, not gonna lie, but that's also kind of expected with the pressure on teams, and some teams haven't been in this position before, so they're likely to be very nervous and things like that. So you gotta kind of expect it. So it's been, we've seen much more variety in the comps than I expected, I'm not gonna lie. We've seen more rush and brawl than I expected. Some teams are benefiting from that, some teams aren't. And I think we've really now got to start thinking this season exactly who are the best teams, because as we kind of predicted coming into 2021, this season I fully believe is going to be closer than any other. And there are going to be a lot of people and a lot of teams that are in contention to win it all. And it's going to be very difficult to predict. However, predictions have been an interesting one this weekend. So, we started off with the Shanghai Dragons taking on the Florida Mayhem. Now, Florida Mayhem arguably came in as #1 seed from North America after the rather surprise early knockout stage in North America, where we see like the likes of Washington and San Francisco not make it, which a lot of people would not have predicted. But Florida Mayhem, Shanghai Dragons, a lot of spice in this because, you know, you've got Lee Jae-gon versus Gangnam Jin. That's an old support duo from Runaway days. The really, really good support duo back in the day, and it's great to see them two going up against each other finally. I don't think we've ever seen that before. And then, you know, you've got Fate returning to his old team, stuff like that. But this game gets very scrappy, and it's good and bad. So, like, Shanghai win Ilios, which is fine. We get a draw on Hanamura, which should never have been a draw, by the way. Shanghai came in to their attack on Ilios, having held the Florida Mayhem to only 1 point. They came in with like a 4-minute plus time bank to get second point, and they never end up getting it. That's rough, and at that level, it's very rare for such a big time bank to not really provide any reward. That ends up as a draw. That really should have been a win for Shanghai, in my opinion. Then you see it swing back the other way with a win on King's Row for Florida Mayhem. Then we come to Gibraltar, and that's another weird one where Mayhem should have won it. We don't even see the later parts of the map. Florida Mayhem should have won it, but they throw 2 ults in the second to last fight. Grav and Pulse Bomb, and it just kind of falls apart from there. So you get Shanghai winning that, but then the maps become a little bit more clear, and it does end up as a 3-2 victory for the Florida Mayhem. For the Shanghai Dragons, sorry. So, it was a 6-mapper. It wasn't the cleanest of Overwatch. I would say, arguably, you got cleaner Overwatch when Shanghai took on Philadelphia. But it was a good game of Overwatch. It was close, and there was some weird stuff going on, but it was very exciting. And I think that's testament to a lot of the games being exciting this weekend. And that's honestly the way you want it. Sometimes you don't get the highest level of Overwatch, but as long as it's exciting and good to watch, then that's exactly what you need in a game that you're watching. Then after this, we saw the Dallas Fuel taking on Chengdu Hunters, number 2, in the West region versus number 1 in the East region. This ends up as a 3-1 for the Dallas Fuel. I predicted it's pretty spot on, and the reason for it is both of these teams, they run off-meta stuff. They tend to be a little bit spicy and unpredictable. We've always known that from Chengdu, and with the Dallas Fuel issue of no proper hit scan right now, they're playing to their strengths, and I think that is incredibly good. And even with a hit scan, I said at the start of the season after the next cup, Dallas Fuel needed to do that if they were going to be good this season, and they're starting to do it, and it's really providing them a lot of traction. So this ends up as a 3-1 for Dallas, and it's simply because Dallas, they're just a better team. They're better mechanically. They outdo Chengdu Hunters in pretty much every area. And that's why when it comes down to a scrappy play, when you've got a team that can actually play scrappy as well as very well organized and not really be drawn into crazy stuff, they're going to roll Chengdu. They're going to get past Chengdu very easily. And although Dallas substantially dropped Blizzard World, it does turn into quite a substantial victory for Dallas Field. The other maps are fairly close, but the Dallas Field did prevent Anubis from being double capped by Chengdu, because that went 2-1 on Anubis. But it is a very good look from the Dallas Field, because I worried about consistency, and I still worry about consistency to an extent, but Dallas looked like the best Brawl team this weekend, I think. And that's not something I would have said coming into this. I wouldn't have said any of these teams were good at Brawl, I'm not going to lie. But Dallas being good at Brawl surprises me somewhat. They're definitely a team that I thought would be heavily reliant on things like double bubble and dive. They are extremely good on those comps. Extremely good. But they are also really good at the Brawl as well. And Dallas, they're just clicking, working, and showing us so much that it's very hard to doubt the team in blue from Texas right now. And that brings us on to the next day of fixtures, right, where we saw the winners bracket final. Now this was obviously between Dallas and Shanghai. Dallas coming into this off of the back of that win over Chengdu. Shanghai coming into this off the back of that win against Florida. The thing is, this was always going to be closer to neither match in my opinion, because, well, these teams are really good. Shanghai, they're adapting well to having Fade as their main tank. It's not, oh, we're going to pump a load of, resources into Fearless and Fearless is going to pop off. That's not the way that Shanghai are doing anymore. They're trying to adjust this style of, okay, we'll cast the enemy main tank and we'll make sure we eradicate them from the game. And although that's working with a lot of teams, it worked against Florida Mayhem, it doesn't work against Dallas Fuel. This ends up as a 3-2 win for Dallas Fuel. Again, predicted this pretty spot on. And it's because, again, skill outdoes here for Dallas Fuel. It's, again, another draw in the second map for Shanghai Dragons. So this is, again, a 6-map series, even though it's 3-2. So Shanghai have a habit of drawing map 2s. And it's causing them issues because it means the balance of power shifts in a match, right? So say your opponent wins the first map, then it's your map choice for second map. If you don't win that, then it'll be your map choice again for third map. However, that means the balance of power changes, because that's what happened here. Dallas Fuel win Ilios. Then Shanghai pick Temple of Anubis. That's drawn, so Shanghai pick Blizzard World again. Dallas Fuel not having a great time on Blizzard World. That is a very big thing to notice. They're not having a great time on Blizzard World at the moment. It's one of the weakest maps. But then, because Shanghai win this, it flips back to Dallas having map pick to take Shanghai to Watchpoint Gibraltar. A former really good map for Shanghai, but again, Dallas Fuel win this, so then again, it flips with Shanghai picking Oasis for the 5th map. But that means that at this point, Shanghai win this map, it's 2-2. So, the match-winning map, which ended up being Dorado, was picked by Dallas Fuel. However, if it had swung and Shanghai had won the 2nd map instead of the 3rd map, they would have had map choice for the 5th and deciding map. So it presents a lot of issues. And it kind of takes a little bit of control out of the Shanghai Dragons' hand and puts it in the hand of their opponents. These draws have cost Shanghai big time in this tournament, not gonna lie. And it's meant that, well, Shanghai dropped to the losers bracket, Dallas Fuel proceeded to become the first participant in the grand final of the main melee, and that means that Dallas Fuel were guaranteed at least 2nd place. That is incredible for a team that does not have a dedicated hit scan. They have adapted so well to the lack of hit scan that they have, and working with what they've got with Sparkle and Doha. It is incredible to see what Rush is doing with this team and how the players have adapted and are working around the issues they have. And when this team inevitably gets that hit scan, and I can now see why Dallas Fuel and Rush are not in a hurry, I'm not going to use the other word, not in a hurry to actually fill this spot, because they're not actually having too many problems because of it right now. So, you got to give massive props to Dallas Fuel. But moving on after this, we go down to the losers bracket. And this is where we see Florida Mayhem take on the Chengdu Hunters. Now, this I did get wrong, because this was Florida Mayhem taking the 3-1 win over the Chengdu Hunters. And again, this is the issue with Chengdu. And this is why I think they may come up quite short in tournaments. Because when you've got an organised team that does not get pulled into Chengdu's game, then Chengdu start to be less effective. And as the season rolls on, as teams get more and more information about what other teams are doing, the chaos that Chengdu provide will become less and less effective. And so we could see the Chengdu Hunters become less and less effective as the season wears on. Hence, the Chengdu Hunters lose 3-1 and are out of the main melee. At the first asking, they did not win a match. And they came in as the top seed from the East region. Not a great look for the Chengdu Hunters. We would have expected them to do better than this, but, you know, I do have doubts about Chengdu. Again, there's this weird habit of Blizzard World seeming to swing the other way in terms of the against the winner, because this is the only map again that Chengdu win against Florida. They are close-ish maps, right? There's a point taken for each on Lijiang on the first map, but again, Chengdu Hunters failed to cap both points on the second map, which is 2CP Volskaya. But then the last map was a 4-3 and really close. Both teams finished the map. You know, it's close, but again, it's that little bit of quality, that little bit of teamwork, that little bit extra. And I think that's what Hunters have lacked in this entire tournament. And that's why they've been outdone by Dallas. That's why they've been outdone by Florida. And probably, I honestly think, even though Shanghai got 3-0 by the Hunters in the regular season, I think if they come up against Shanghai, they would also have lost in a similar fashion. Because these tournaments are very different to the main season. Because there is a lot more prep, there is a lot more research, and teams are able to counteract what others are doing. And so, if you can't outskill and outmaneuver these teams, then it becomes an issue. And that's the issue I think Chengdu Hunters have run into this May Melee. And if it doesn't change, I don't think we will see the Hunters in future tournaments this season, because the unpredictability and the surprise will have worn off, and therefore they will suffer. However, Florida Mayhem, good work. Like, OG's done well, turned up, done his job. We wanted to see good work from OG this weekend and it not be a one-off from last weekend, and it certainly wasn't. OG is proving and stepping up, and that means that the Florida Mayhem will be a team that you fear. Because that was the main weak link that I was worried about, and that weak link is not a weak link anymore. So, Mayhem, it's been a good tournament so far. But the next losers bracket match for the Mayhem against Shanghai, this is where things go south, because this is a 3-0 for Shanghai. This is the most one-sided match in the entire tournament. Mayhem don't actually complete any of the maps in this match. They get 2-0'd on Oasis, they get 1-0'd on Hanamura, and then it is 2-1 on King's Row. Much more comprehensive than you'd expect from a tournament like this. It's where the luck of the run of the Florida Mayhem sort of runs out. You know, the DPS of the Shanghai Dragons outdid the DPS of the Florida Mayhem, which is really something like the first time we've seen really something like that happening to the Florida Mayhem. The tanks, you know, weren't having the impact that they were, and they were just outclassed by the Shanghai Dragons. It's surprising to It's surprising to see this in this tournament. Not gonna lie, I thought this would be closer. But yeah, there's not much to say, and that's a really disappointing way for Florida Mayhem to finish this tournament. It really, really is. But there is progress for Florida Mayhem. There is progress, and hopefully they can continue with that. But that means Shanghai move on to a rematch with the Dallas Fuel in the grand final. Oh boy. Now I thought it would be a Fuel versus Dragon final, simply because of the way in which Shanghai Dragons have been really clutch in seeing out these matches, especially against the Philly Fusion last weekend, and Dallas have just provided so much high tier play, so much organised high tier play, that I couldn't doubt against Dallas Fuel. For the first time ever in the Overwatch League, I could not doubt the Dallas Fuel. I couldn't. And it's very odd. It's probably very odd for Dallas Fuel fans to not doubt the Dallas Fuel. But I really think that people need to stop sleeping on Dallas Fuel right now. I saw a lot of people before the season started saying, oh, Dallas Fuel haven't got a hit scan, they're going to be low. I didn't change my prediction or power rankings for Dallas Fuel based on the hit scan issues. Because A, the hit scan issue will be fixed. And B, you don't know what they have in their back pocket to deal with these issues while they're going on. But anyway, let's get back to the match here. And this was super interesting, but it gave us so much idea of what's going on right now. This is the first series in the entire May Melee, apart from the win over Florida, where Shanghai don't draw the second map. So Shanghai improved. The thing is, they are up against a team that is now ascending to a really insane level of quality, and Dallas Fuel were throwing stuff at the Shanghai Dragons that was unexpected. We saw a surprising amount of Soldier 76 from Sparkle. He has played Soldier 76 before, way back, and he's brought it back because obviously he may not be the best of hit scan player on a McCree or a Widow or an Ashe, but Soldier 76 is going to pressure out an Echo, and Echo is something that is very valuable to the Shanghai Dragons, obviously with Fletter. And this was the Dallas Fuel plan, alongside playing quite a bit of Sombra Tracer and things like that. They were going to get a lot of value from it. And how does Shanghai lose this? There's no draws, so Dallas Fuel win the first map. That's always kind of essential, right? Then Shanghai's map pick, Shanghai win Anubis. Back to Dallas Fuel's map pick, they win King's Row. But this is when Shanghai took Dallas to Gibraltar. Now this is interesting because this is a map they lost against the Dallas Fuel in the previous meeting in the May Melee. It's a mistake from Shanghai because Dallas Fuel break the serve of Shanghai here, and they win the map. This puts Dallas Fuel on match point 3-1 up. Obviously it goes back to Shanghai's map pick and they take it to Ilios, which is going to be a good map for Shanghai because it's a map where they can play a lot of what they like to play, and therefore they're going to get a lot of value. The thing is, that meant that Dallas Fuel had the opportunity to take it back to their map pick to win the win tournament. And they took it to Blizzard World, of all places, Blizzard World. Yes, the map where Dallas Fuel just can't win. It's very odd, but it is extremely close. Dallas Fuel put up a good defense, just off of the second point. Shanghai don't finish the map, so that's a great defense from Dallas Fuel. But the attack goes swimmingly up until a point where they get very close to finishing the map. It takes them 4 minutes, the last fight, but my goodness me, Dallas Fuel clutch it out with Sparkle on that Soldier 76 and part of this map as well to get the 4-2 victory over Shanghai Dragons. Dallas Fuel are the May Melee champions. A very, very, very long time coming for the Dallas Fuel to finally take home a trophy, a championship. It is a mini one because it's only May Melee. It's one little tournament, but it is evidence of the quality of Dallas Fuel the ability for Dallas Fuel to adapt, the ability of Dallas Fuel to play multiple different comps, the ability of Dallas Fuel to beat the best, even in the not best circumstances, and the ability of the Dallas Fuel to get better when they get more and a better hit scan, a new hit scan and things like that. Dallas Fuel will get better. So, Dallas Fuel take home the big bucks. They also take home 3 points to add to their tally, which will put them top of the West region. It must be finally a great time to be a Dallas Fuel fan. It must be finally a great time to be a Dallas Fuel fan, because it has taken so long to get to this point where Dallas Fuel are a genuine contender to beat anyone right now, and possibly favourites to beat anyone right now. They've beaten the best. They have beaten Shanghai. They have beaten the former the current champion San Francisco Shock in convincing fashion, may we add. They have beaten all there is to beat right now. The Houston Outlaws that were looking dominant in the regular part of the May Melee. Dallas Fuel have beaten everyone there is to beat. And now, the only thing that Dallas Fuel need to do is to maintain this and improve upon this going forward in the season, and then the sky is the limit for Dallas Fuel. They are looking like the best team in the world right now, off of the back of insane play, not only from Fearless, but from everyone. And if they can maintain that throughout the season, they will be favourites going into the playoffs. But it is a very early days. There's going to be snapbacks from different teams. I expect snapbacks from like the San Francisco Shock and people like that are not going to take this lying down. What happened last week, and then the Shanghai Dragons, etc. What's happened in this tournament. They're going to hunt the Fuel. Fuel now have a target on their head. For the first time ever, the Dallas Fuel have a target on their head as the best team in the league. And people will want to take the Fuel down. Can Fuel answer to that? Can Fuel take the pressure and say, no, we're not going to be taken down? Just like the San Francisco Shock have done previously. It'll be very, very interesting, and I think Dallas Fuel are quite capable of doing it, especially if they bring in a new hit scan as well. It will make them even more diverse, but it's not a priority. Because Dallas Fuel have demonstrated that you can work with things, you can make things work, even if the circumstances don't seem ideal. Tremendous well done to Dallas Fuel and Rush and all the guys over there to make this work. Honestly, very, 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 very good. And yeah, smile Fuel fans. Once smile Fuel fans, it must be nice. I am going to leave it here for this one though. All of the socials are linked in the video description for Elysian Gaming and myself. There will be a Team of the Week, there will be other videos coming up, and there will be probably a new Power Rankings coming up as well. This has been super interesting. Our first look at the 2021 season. We're now 4 weeks in, we've had our first tournament, and my goodness me, things are very different than what perhaps we would have expected. But for now, thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.